LA, and all those record labels, they're on Sunset Drive, where we can walk into, where we can open door, where we can talk to them. We had the mind, we knew exactly what was going on, and there was no manager between me and the CEO. So, and the CEO gave a free hand. Say, do whatever you want. Compared to if you go to public housing, somebody of my age, I will have many bosses. And again, I'll be very careful. I couldn't do many things that I was doing, and that gave a lot of room. Open door, was blank check. And we took advantage of it, and we didn't misuse it. We used it very positively.
But how influential, and then this is what I keep going, because, and then when I use the word feeling, it's very important, because then, okay, when we're talking about Obi, and Tola, the other days, I said, look, everybody was doing music, but there was a feeling that when Storm in the building, what were the things on the t-shirts, Igbo boys in the building and things like that. Later, when you came in, yes, we understand, maybe we were doing music, but there was a feeling, there's a feeling even till tomorrow when you play.
Let me attempt to describe it.
Okay. With them, so
and I might be wrong.
With a lifestyle.
Let me attempt to break it down. I might be wrong. The music, within that period, the dark ages, so called, the music moved, right? The music moved from Ajegunle to the Festac hub, or really Festac hub, right? Now, Storm happened when the music moved to Victoria Island. Now, before then, the guys that the industry looked up to, the Daddy Showkeys, the Daddy Freshie, Fresh of the Sword, the Baba Fry, and all of that. Yes, they were predominantly Ajegunle. So, the Storm era it was when the business opened up to the Ajebota crowd, right, in terms of active foreground participants.
They had their candidates.
Yes, so you had, so once that happened, it changed the perception. It changed, of course, the kind of photography that
created a bridge.
A guy like, the guys like Mad Melon and Mountain Black, for example, Downfall Driver, they were huge. The song Downfall Driver was almost as big as African Queen on this continent. It was huge.
Crazy culture.
Right? But if you look at those guys, the kind of picture that they would drop at Hip Hop World, if we didn't set up our own photo session, the kind of cover art they would use, a NATO would not be seen dead, caught dead in that. So once VI brought his Ajebota swag into the system, it just changed the game. It took it one level higher. So you move from African China, from Fire and all of that to now. And again, because you must also give credit to this Mo Hit kids, right? This Mo Hit guys. My apologies.
Before going to Mo Hits, he moved from Ajegunle because we never recorded any Ajegunle artist except Marvelous Benji.
To Festac, that's right.
To Festac.
Festac.
Yes.
At the point, it was the hub. Festac Surulere, right? Festac Surulere. Now, this guys came
Where
in.
did Remedies come in?
That's where I was going. That's where I was going. That's where I was going. He moved from Ajegunle into mainland.
No. I just said, no. See, the Remedy stuff was not about a hood.
Location.
The Remedies did not fly a hood.
Okay, I understand what you're saying.
They were not like those Festac boys who were saying FTT. It wasn't a hood thing. Remedies was standalone, big success. It wasn't attached to, maybe because they were a group and they didn't come from the same, they didn't grow out of the same neighborhood.
Exactly.
They're within the timeline. What his emphasis is on is the location, how it was
the
moving.
movement.
They are within the timeline. But you see, the thing about music here is that music is meant for everybody. And at a point in time, music, urban music most especially, was meant for maybe the have-nots or what have you.
Yeah, it was.
Those are people with the urban voices. You understand? But music is something that you cannot localize. It was meant for everybody. And gradually, it's evolved into something bigger. You understand? Which is what we're seeing now, which is why it came from Ajegunle and traveled through mainland and eventually ended up. The reason why it's, in my opinion, why it ended up, why we were doing events in the vault, or why people like me even had that opportunity, why people like Soskate came back to Nigeria, why is because of Big Brother Nigeria. Because that was, we were doing those shows every week in VI, and that created opportunities for even people like Dari Atalade when he did his first this thing. You know, the Banja and Don Jazzy, they moved back to Nigeria not too long before that, you understand? And they are part of where the music now, of that movement, is not that, it's not even that they're island boys or they're, you know, but they are part of that new era whereby,
Even when,
whereby we
because
needed
even when
something
people were
different.
moving back, they didn't move back and move to the island.
Exactly.
They moved back and
Thank you very
everybody was
much.
still on the mainland.
Everybody was still on the
Yeah.
mainland. Everybody was so.
Even up to today,
Yeah.
I stand corrected. Majority of true fans are on the mainland.
Yes.
Oh yeah, the population
Because
is bigger on the
people,
mainland.
because people on the island, they may want to appeal to islanders, but they will say, oh, I'm a street boy, I'm a Muslim guy, I'm a Jegunle guy, I'm a Pamduf guy, I'm a Shomodu guy.
I know what you, because
I mean,
one of the
I'm a Sulere guy, I'm a
there's-
Festa guy, you know?
someone, like for instance, even like Tibet now when we're talking about like how music has transformed and evolved, but then people still say your music is niche,
Yeah,
authentic,
yeah.
alternative, and things like that.
Can I tell the story?
Yes, you can.
How was that?
Oh, you can't remember?
No, Nate will not remember. Okay. So let me just take you back a bit, you know, and go to the story. So my primary school was very posh, you know. It was Kent Academy in Jos, you know, and Jos is very posh. It has, you know, a lot of white population. It still is, you know.
Now they're throwing
It still is
bombs
with the weather, you know, and all of
They're
that.
throwing Molotov
You know,
cocktails.
so and with my background, you know, my dad was a politician, but his first love was music, you know. So he taught me how to play the guitar when I was really young. Wow. And then back to primary school and growing up, you know, my parents used to have a, you know, the normal tape recorder where you push play and record at the same time to record yourself. So they used to make tapes. They used to make tapes from there. So my dad would play the guitar and sing, and my mom would duet with him. So it was that kind of family, growing up in that kind of family. You know, so I had the influence of music from that. And it was listening to country music, you know, Madonna, they all had different types of collections. You know, so fast forward to when I started playing the guitar more, I was in choir in school, and then I lost my dad. Everything changed. Every single thing changed. You know, like I said, my mom was a caterer, or is a caterer. You know, so there was no way she could pay my fees. And when Kemi was asking, what is that thing that drives you? What is the thing that tells you that no matter what it is, not really hunger, you know, but I discovered God, you know. For me, that was what it was. I discovered God because my mom took my school fees report and put it at her bedside and said, God, you have said you're the father to the fatherless, and this is what I've brought to you. This is this boy's school fees, 180,000. There's no way I'm seeing that money from cake. I can't, you know. And yeah, at that time, you know, and somebody anonymous came and paid my fees from JS2 to SS3. Yes, from JS2 to SS3, and said that he doesn't want to be named till I'm done with school.
But do you know the person?
I know the person now.
Who is the
you know? Yeah, and when that happened, when that happened, it was like crazy. They came and told us that, you know, somebody has paid your fees, totally. You know, so it was just crazy for me. And that was, for me, that was a miracle because we didn't know where it was going to come from. And my dad really wanted me to go to that school. You know, so what happened was that when we were in that JS2, before my dad died, or after my dad died, we went to play football match with El Amin. I was in the football team. And when we were coming back, the bus had an accident and 3 people died. 3 girls died. And the man that paid my fees, one of his daughters, was the one that died. You know, so in my head, after I found out, I was like, so was it that he thought to himself that I was going to pay this girl's school fees regardless? You know, I mean, I was going to pay her school fees from till the end of her school year, and she's no more. Why don't I just pay? Like, I don't even understand, because I never had a conversation about it. I just decided to leave it, you know. But I was close with the girl. My parents didn't really know each other like that, you know. I saw the girl once in a while. I mean, when we went to do exams in different schools, you know, common entrance and all of that. But it wasn't like we had a relationship. So why would you pay my fees? So for me, my only explanation would be that God wanted me to be there. He wanted me to have education. He wanted me to go through his place. And I started holding on to a Bible verse. I'm very, very God-driven, because I feel like, or I know that where I am was not, I didn't come to where I am by accident. You know, I came here for a reason. My purpose, my life, everything I was built to be, I'm here for a purpose and for a reason. You know, so when I see the Bible verse, I think Isaiah 43:10 or 44:10, you know, don't be afraid, for I am with you. Don't be dismayed, for I'm your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. That verse, I stick it in my brain, because I believe that if he's with me, that means I cannot fail. In situations where I feel like this thing is crashing down, no, it's not crashing down, because he's with me, so I can never fail. And that is what I carry with me. That is what I go with. And that's why I can decide to do whatever I want to do in the industry. Not bad, but great things. Take amazing risks and still believe that I'll get through. People ask me, like when I go for interviews, they ask me, how do you stay afloat? You know, because you don't just hear of the gigs that I do. But what do you mean, how do I stay afloat? You know, I work. I'm a musician. Is that what you do 100%? No other work? Yeah, that's what I do. You know, and that pays the bills. I'm married, I have a child, you know. So that is what I hold on to. Fast forward into after secondary school. Immediately after secondary school, my transitions have always been smooth. I've always had transition from the next to the other smoothly, even though we don't see the cash. We don't see how is this going to be done. So secondary school, university, one of my friends was taking an exam, and the mom mentioned it to my mom, this boy is going to take exam for Covenant University, and it's a good school. Let this boy just go. You know, there'll be pioneers too, you know, because we were pioneers in our secondary school. So we took the exam, we passed. And when I was in secondary school, again, we had an account that was for, you know, if you want to purchase something in the tuck shop, you know, you just put something like 20K in the account. Somebody came and put a whole school fees in that account, you know. So all my SAT exams, yes, for me. So that one, we don't even know who.
You don't even know.
It's grace, sir. You know,
Grace,
so
favor,
so somebody, all my SAT exams, my WAEC, my NECO, my JAMB, all my technical drawing board, my rotring set, everything. That was, you know, yeah.
Because like, I want to quick question.
Yeah.
Sometimes do you feel like your dad he has your back? Do you feel like there's somebody tabling your matter in front of God?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I think it's what I believe, you know, because when I was in primary school, it was a missionary school, and then we were in boarding, you know, so it's 2 weeks, you stay in school, then you go home for a home weekend, you come back again for 2 weeks. And then something happened, you know, there was a rumor circulating in school that this time it was going to be 3 weeks before you go home for a home weekend. I was in grade 5 then, you know, so when they were coming to drop me in school, I said, don't come in 2 weeks, so it's 3 weeks this time. You know, so they were like, okay, they'll come and pick me up after 3 weeks. But when we're in school, we now figured that, no, it's not 3 weeks, it's 2 weeks. There were no phones, you know, and my primary school was in Miango, that's a village in Jos, right? Outskirts, because that's where all the missionaries go. So I was like, how do I connect to my parents? Usually when we write letters, it takes about 3-4 days to get there. When I found this out, it was almost the home weekend. So 3-4 days was not going to cut it before the letters go. So then I'd already given my life to Christ and all of that. Then I said, okay, let me just table this matter to God now. You know, let me see if this thing works. You know, so I prayed and said, God, please let them come and pick me for home weekend. Because if they don't come, I'll be in school and, you know, I don't know who I can follow home. or if they will even allow me to follow anybody home without the consent of my parents. So what happened was that when the home weekend came, I took my bags and I went to the car park, just believing that I will see somebody there. And when I got there, I saw our driver,
Your faith,
I want to know this.
Then I asked him, and that was when I was in grade 5. That was when I was in grade 5, So I asked him, so how did you know that you were meant to pick me? Because I had the faith, but I was surprised at the same time. He said, that they went to trade fair. And when they got to trade fair, a woman had picked up a child. A woman had sent her driver to the school to pick up the child. And then she saw my mom, and then she was like, okay, have you people, they got into conversation, and she was like, she sent the driver to go and pick up the child. And he was like, no, it's 3 weeks. No, go and pick him up. So my mom also sent the driver while she was at trade fair. So they picked me up from school and took me to trade fair. So the thing is, I just believed that, it worked. And we were having this conversation before we got on set, that I just threw myself into it and I believed that it worked. So even when my dad was alive, stuff like this happened, and my dad was the man of the people. They would say, if Amos Idakula has 10 naira, 1 naira will go to his family, 9 naira will go to the people, and that was the kind of reputation he had. So I think there was a bit of sowing and sacrifice that he did that, also gives us that grace.
The question you asked him about, my situation is slightly different. I spent my situation was more with my mom. I'm more of my mom's child than my dad's, right?
So your mommy's boy.
Just technically, yes.
Just like you.
No, technically, yes. No, but my scenario was different. My scenario was because my parents were separated before I was even aware, before I was 2, right? So they didn't live in the same city and all of that. So I stayed with my mom. But I spent just 11 years with my mom, first 11 years of my life. Then I moved to my dad's place. He was transferred to work at Saple, so I moved from Mori to Saple. Between 11 and 15, I lived with my dad. From 16 till today, I've lived alone, right? Now, what I found out is that those first 11 years of my life, afterwards, I would see my mom, I would go back home, visit and all, but the first 11 years of my life, my mom had the way she interacted with me, and almost every single choice I've made since age 11 and a half till today. My mom that arranged me keep in advance. She just put me in one path. So every time I'm faced with a choice, something kicks back to. When I lost my mom, for 17 years, I was good. I was good, as in short, I offered to help get her corpse, from the morgue, but they refused. I was that composed, getting things organized and all of that. Then February or March this year, 17 years after, I broke down. I was in a flight coming from Calabar or Wari. I was in a flight with my colleague. We're having just a random conversation. And for the first time in 17 years, it hit me. I gathered myself together. I cried in the flight. I got home. I cried like a child. My wife had never seen me. November 24th, I will be married for 16 years. It took me 17 years to come to terms with the fact that, but every single time, I don't do spiritual stuff. I don't, I understand the place of God in our affairs, but I'm a very rational, I'm a very 1 + 1 = 2 person, right? So half the time, 8% I'm checking stuff. We move this here, we'll get this. If we move this here, we'll get that. But I also know that the way you raise your kids, a lot of, and this directly, answering your question, how do you deal with those moments? What keeps you going now is basically what got you here in the first place. It's the same streak that got you here, the same thing that got him out of where he was to say, I want to take that first step. Put those lyrics in the book. If you don't understand how printing was done back in the day, you'll miss a lot of what I had just broken down. That typesetting, it was a system of fonts, of letters, I mean. You're arranging letters. The boy, okay, let's say you're doing a song of a song like Dolly Parton, right? Coat of Many Colors, and you go back through the years. I go wandering once again back to the seasons of my youth. You're taking it, negatively. You're arranging it, then you lock it.
Wow.
Then
You did negative
the negative.
before the plate.
Not your iPad, your typing and all of that. This is high. This is some next level futuristic. This is
Collate. You jog. You now clip. Before you now trim.
so. It's the same thing, the same reason. I found out something. And this is basically what I took from my mom and what has helped me. I grew up. I'm not ashamed to say I grew up very poor. The room I lived with with my mom. It was not a mini flat. Like the Lagos equivalent of Face Me, I Face You, where you live in one room, then you have to go to the back of the building for your kitchen, or you have to go somewhere and share a bathroom and toilet with probably another 20 tenants, within the entire. That's me from 0 to 11, right? The first time I lived in a flat was when I moved to my father's place. So, but it was funny. I picked out two things. One, I didn't know we were poor until I started living in a richer neighborhood with my dad. I never felt. Yeah.
That's just normal life.
No, I never felt. I never knew. It was later that I started putting things together and I realized, oh, okay, this must have been poverty, right? My mom raised us in such a way that the level of content. That's why I will tell you that AY will come. Will be somewhere we don't have transport fare, and somebody. We've not seen 5K in a week, and somebody comes and says, "There's 20 grand, just give me a cover slot," and we'll laugh like the person has just cracked some Eddie Murphy type joke, right? So I learned that. I never felt. I didn't start feeling deprived. I didn't start feeling angry until I was living relatively more comfortable life, but not being able to access. Because polygamy, a lot of kids, a lot of women, and all of that. That's when I noticed that, okay, I didn't have all of this. Then, those years, my mom there's the way my mom treated me. My mom treated me, she spoke to me like she knew I was going to be better than this, that I was better. My mom never analyzed it. My mom was like, the value of anybody's humanity was never directly proportional with how much material stuff they had. Key lesson, it never. She would not treat somebody better. She won't be more courteous because you appear wealthy or less. So you are first and foremost a human being. So I walked through the door the same way I greet the GM or the MD, same way as I relate to the Megad. No difference, right? So. She created that impression in me that I could be somebody. I'm working on a project now.
So sorry, not to cut you off, but is it important for you to have, and for everyone, is it important for you to have someone, at least one person in your life that sees you more than you see yourself?
Oh, most definitely.
That person inspires you.
She called me names. She told my elders. She told people to treat me in a certain way. She addressed me like she would pet, like, you know, your chief, you're this, you're that. You know, this is her prince. Nobody should, you know. No, what did somebody say I shouldn't say anything? No, they should allow me speak. Let him speak. What you think? What he says is not making sense. This guy, this professor guy, you're arguing with him. He knows everything, right? So my mom treated me. Now I'm working on a project now called Be Somebody. I found out something. A lot of the kids that grew up with me, within that first 11 years, they ended up as what you'd probably call victims of the ghetto, right? And the key difference was this: they accepted their limit. They accepted that reality. They woke up in the morning and they saw the strife, the deprivation, the squalor, and they bought into it.
They connected it.
Right? They connected and they accepted it. Let me give you a practical example. I attended the primary school I attended. The name sounds like a worry joke, right? No offense. Once I'm Bruce Ali, UPN schools, public school, you know, then we'll get into the classroom. They will try to teach us simple English language. And we got back home, and you can't even practice. Right? You start speaking with your peers, and you switch to English, and they're like, guy, did they no. Guy, did they worry you? I bet Fade is now you want. So you almost have to apologize for trying to be excellent. Yes. It was a topsy-turvy world. If you're a girl, you're 14, you're not experienced abortion or something. If something's wrong with you, if you're a guy, you're not into all that stuff. So you had to almost apologize for trying to do the right thing. You know, the typical ghetto, if you go back, Compton, you know, all those boys. Imagine you're watching Juice, right? You see how kids would, like, if you don't have a gun, you're sissy, you know, if you're not pushing drugs. That was my reality. So each time I tried to let the guys know that this is not me, this is not where I'm going to be. They resisted, they bullied me because they had accepted that reality. So the thought of you aspiring to be anything other than, you know, who we are and what we do, they just found it very repulsive. And I didn't understand initially that the fight was not, they weren't fighting me, right? They were basically, it was a reflection of the mindset, right? Like people say it cannot be done, then you try to do it. So the initial reaction is, right? NATO wants to go to graduate school, or NATO wants to get married, and they're like, guy, are you okay? So now, the key thing was, at every point in time, I have stated it, you're somewhere, people think you're successful. You're somewhere, people think there are issues, NEPA issues, medical issues, but you see beyond all of that. You have your eyes clearly fixed on you know where you want to be. You do not know how to get there. You might not necessarily know how to get there. But you have a clear picture of what you want to do with your life, what you want to do with this year. So people are telling you, Bears, this is your song, man. I'll let you go buy a more, you know. And you're just watching them because you know exactly that all this common knowledge, all these general assumptions, they're way beneath you.
I connected to what he was saying really briefly, and it's something that I realized later on. You see, like with like some kids like myself who have been privileged at some point in time, well, we thank God you're privileged. Privileged, yes. But the reason I said privilege at some point in time is that I didn't always have the privilege. So that's why I say privilege at some point in time, is that your society, whenever your society identifies you as being a little bit more privileged than you are, they want to bring you down. So I have this encounter with a lot of kids, parents who have privileged kids who are now victims of, you know, their environment. So like the kids who are not privileged, they make that privileged kid feel bad for his for him being
You have
privileged.
to apologize for your...
And then, exactly.
This is
And
probably
then,
what you face a lot in your career.
well, the thing,
DJ Obi, like,
the truth of the matter, at a point in time, I did, but it couldn't penetrate me because I don't know, it's just like how you said, his mother arranged him and, you know, it's already, so he doesn't, those kind of things, I'm not impressionable. If I'm not going to do, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
You understand? Yeah. But I see kids who have weaker characters. And I think it's also because there was a time I had a rough time, so that kind of like made my character stronger. But there are so many kids right now that are under pressure.
When you say you had a rough time, what do you mean?
Yeah? No, I'm saying that when I had a rougher patch growing up.
So essentially, like, I mean, your own story kind of is like from lower to high.
No, it was high to low to high because I was in an Atlantic boarding house. Some kids used to make fun of me because I wasn't one of the richer kids. You understand what I'm saying? I was a kid that used to come from the East. You understand? That may not have traveled that summer. And some kids made fun of me. You understand? And that's just how, you know, when my father's coming to visit me sometimes, they use taxi, yellow taxi, and oh my goodness, I can't believe that your father used taxi. Like, this is a poor kid alert. Like, I remember Atlantic Hall. I remember our inter-house sports. My parents came all the way from the East just to attend my inter-house sports. But the taxi that was supposed to take us home wasn't there. So we had to walk to the Keja bus stop to take a cab. And some kids in school, they were driving past looking at me like, So we have somebody in this school that uses taxi.
So how did you exist and remain a strong character in the midst of all of that?
I was in obscurity. That's how I existed. I was just a kid in boarding house that was just existing. You know, like I was just doing my thing. You know, of course, I dealt with being bullied and what have you. Sometimes when they're supposed to pick us up from school, like outing Sunday, I'll get ready. Unlike Bez, I didn't have faith, so I'll get ready. I'll be there looking from the burglary proof. Nobody will come. I'll cry. I'll fall asleep. I'll wake up. I'll cry. We like 5 of us in nobody else that didn't go home that weekend. They won't put on the generator. So you just have to deal with a lot of emotions, just as a younger kid. Just for when your kid is, when you're dealing with like a 12, 13-year-old, there's some emotional things that you deal with or what have you. But anyway, having moved past that, I realized that.
So when mommy becomes like the minister of blah blah blah.
Wait. Because I was there through the whole process, so saw the whole process. But when things changed, things really did change because they were not using taxis to come and visit me again. So when we'll be in school like this in class, you'll be hearing the win one from the airport. They'll be like, my mom is coming. Even the teachers treated me differently. And you know what? Some of the kids now had hate for me. They were not happy because all of a sudden now was that I'm better. Is it that I'm better than other people? And it was like real hatred. And I didn't as a young child, I didn't understand that that's the way life was. So all of a sudden things changed. My prom, they used to give me a car. They'll give me a car. They give me an official car. They give me a policeman. But I had at that point in time, I didn't really I was happy, and my whole life changed, and I had to adjust to it, But I didn't forget where we came from. I never forgot where we came from, and it was good. And I saw life is all about what you have. Well, life is not all about what you have, but society sometimes makes it about what you have.
Yeah. But then does that also show you that life literally can change just like that?
Kevin, that's the reason I said that. Even as a musician, I know that that's not the most important thing, because even as a young child, I've seen how materialism is being worshipped. You understand? And how you can be somewhere today and another place and people react to you differently. I've seen it as a young child. So even as an adult, it's the way it works. It's just the way it works. You understand? So for me, it was a blessing because I didn't know how I was going to go to prom.
Because I'm just like a
When
poor
you say you
kid.
didn't know you were going to go to prom, what does that mean?
Because prom, you
Can you
steal
imagine the
your-
kind of problem he
steal-
had?
I know that's
problem.
what no, but it was a real problem. It was a real
That's the
problem.
life.
No. Let's not get into it. Let's not get into it. No, let's not get into it. It was a real problem because as a I forgot how old I was at that point in time. Your prom is like your graduation, Abi. It's just an extension of your graduation. You know, and that girl that you have been liking the whole time, your whole existence, that's the chance you're going to get to go with her. So, you know, I'm around, a lot of rich kids, that live in Ikoyi, live in VI, they come from that and every time, putting unnecessary pressure on me. So people are like, yeah, I'm going to take my daddy's S-Class. They'll just allow me, I'll just drive, I'll steal the car. That person is, I'm going to take this car. So me, I'm just like, hey. Am I going to go to where I can't beg them for car?
Kemi, what car did you take?
No, they will pick car now. The guy will come and pick car now. So
A king woman, no, she picked the guy.
I was dealing with unnecessary social issues which affected my grades. You understand? I'm worried about like my family. How's my family doing back home? Other kids are putting me on all kinds of social pressure. I'm just trying to make it to school. You understand what I'm saying? And, knowing that my parents, I don't know whether they knew what I was going through, but for me, it's like, like that attention that you give to your child, especially at those formative years, is so important. And if I went through all that just so that I can give better to my kids, then I'm more than happy to go through it again, because for me, that's what I took from it. It wasn't anything.
Okay, really, I don't know or see stubbornness why too. I just believe I can make it happen. And like I told you, I was very obedient. And when I read some things I thought they were true, I believed that what you can actually conceive, you can actually achieve. And I read stories that, like impossible stories, like Henry Ford, when he wanted to have the 8-cylinder engine and all that, and they told the engineer said it wasn't possible, and they found a way to do it. So I always believe that these things over time will happen. Just be consistent, believe in it, work hard towards it. And if I ever got to that point that I thought I couldn't move on anymore, I had to talk about that. Yes, I did. And it was 1998 when I couldn't even afford the next meal after publishing for 3 years. For publishing a pop-up magazine for 3 years and almost, a decade of publishing. I thought, so I met someone, Chido Wakama. Do you remember Chido Wakama? Yeah. Basi Ogamba, yeah. So yeah, I met him. I told him that, look, I'm that guy that will never give up. But now, it's just like it won't happen. I'm just so frustrated and everything that, what does he think? Should I do something else? And I said, you know what? People always give up at that point where they're just about succeeding. And it just reminded me of what I read in that Think and Grow Rich Napoleon here, that someone was digging and digging and digging and couldn't get to the gold and sold the land and gave up. And someone just came, dug a little and found the gold. So I just decided to go. And then I met this guy, Mr. Ajiboye. I told him if he could give me like a part-time job, and that I couldn't go on anymore and everything. And he said, I can't give you a job. You have so many ideas and I can't even believe you're saying this. How do you want to, concentrate and do your own thing and you believe so much in it? And I said, because I don't have money at all. And I said, if I had to pay you a salary, how much would I be paying you a month? I said, 40K will do. I said, you know what? I won't give you 40K. I'll give you, how much is your transportation and everything? I said, about 4K, 5K. I'll give you 6K a week. So for like a year plus, it was giving me like 6K every week. That was 24K a month. You remember Mrs. Lawal, where we used to eat, and where we all would go and turn. You see, this was my office. This was this was my office. This was Mrs. Lawal's shop. So no, this was her shop. here, and this was my office. So you get to my office and you get to, a shop where she's used to sell food, but you come this way and come this way. Now, you would have to see her before getting to your office or see her when you're going out. But because we're owing her for maybe a week, we'll go round, and come through the back door to come to the office. Then we'll go round again and come to the back door. And when the artists come and you want to escort them, you stop here. Until she came to the office and said, you know what, you guys are my kids, you can owe. You believe in what you're doing and we were free to owe another. And that building where we were at that time, it was Sadatu Plaza. There was a mosque there, and there was this, mosque, they have this place where you go and clean up when you want to do your prayers and all that. And, they had a lot of people, and I don't want to describe them, they'll come pee there. So I had 2 buckets of water to take my bath every morning because I was staying in BQ, and I couldn't afford the rent anymore. I had a fridge, and that was why I converted to my wardrobe in my office, because the compressor was bad anyway. So I put a padlock there, put my clothes in the fridge in my office, and I locked it. Then the office. Then some nights that we couldn't go home. There was no. So my staff, I still had some staff then. So everybody would close the roller shutter as we were going home. Then I'll come back to sleep. Then sometimes we couldn't roll down the roller shutter because it was hot. Heat would kill us. Then we couldn't put it up because mosquitoes would destroy us. Mosquitoes will just, And once it was around 5 a.m. and fresh air, it was cool to sleep. Then the mosque, Allah Akbar. So we couldn't sleep. So every morning I would go there to take my bath with 2 buckets of water. Not because I'm a big or fat guy, but one to wash all the peas and everything away. Then the other one to take my bath. So I did that for a while. And for me, it was just going to happen. Because we also...
Where did you think it was going to happen?
No, it was just this. It was like a movement. Someone said movement, yes. And the guys will come and offer us money and we'll still turn it down.
Because of pride.
We'll still turn because of principle. We'll still turn it down.
More principle than pride.
We'll still say, you know what? Hell no. We are better than that. So if you couldn't bribe me then, you can't step to me now. Seriously, I'm sorry. So we went from that the period, and the magazine came out, and we were able to. At some point, when it wasn't going to happen again with our distribution model, we went to Sonny Obazo Jagbese, publisher, Complete Sports, and I told him that I wanted JV. You will do all the designs for the magazine, print the magazine. There's always a way out. There's always a print the magazine, circulate the magazine, give us a percentage. They have to keep coming out. I understand when artists want to continue doing what they do. When you have guys there, they'll tell you you're doing a good job. This is what it means to them. So it wasn't just about us. I think there was a purpose. We had a void to fill. And that actually gave us a lot of hunger. I think there was hunger, and we felt the hunger and we just were marching on. And we came out we did a couple of editions with him and we thought we could move on from there. Then we went back, to publishing. Now, after a while, when we had and for years before then, Eddie Lawani told me that, look, you have to start music awards because you guys, it's like you understand this and you have, you know how it should be and, blah, blah. He kept calling every year and all that. And if he had to change, if he had to be different, it had to be from you guys, And we didn't think it was something we could do at that time because we were even struggling with what we were doing. How much more a music award on that scale? No. So we waited, and at some point, we decided that we were going to try our hands on the music awards and everything. And, Keke has been to the Grammys many times. Big awards like that always have media space, you have to, some guys, I think they buy rights to some of the awards that they'll show it on their platform, they promote it on their platform. We didn't have a platform. So with the first year, we partnered with Sound City, to help us drive the campaign and everything. And we spoke with everyone. So it was a bit open, but they were part of it. But I mean, we partnered with them, but other channels and everybody was there. And we met sponsors, If you didn't believe in what we were doing, you couldn't tell us you didn't believe in it. You would not be able to tell us that. You would just, let us go another way. The fire was too much, and some guys actually saw through us. And the first guy that gave us the first budget we got was 5 million. Then we got 12 million. We got money for the first one. It wasn't enough because we wanted to do it well. Then we brought our billboards, get ready for a revolution. Get ready for a revolution. We believed it was going to be different, and we put everything behind it. And the guy told us one thing, that Tunji guy that got us the first contract from HAP, that Guinness at that time, said, look, if you mess this thing up, I'm going to lose my job. Because my boss said, you have not done anything on this scale before, that we shouldn't even associate the brand. I told him you could do it, because like I see through you guys. So it's not as if you are bringing CVs with what you've done before on this scale to say, okay, you can now do it. And I told him, but you're not going to lose your job. They are going to actually really say thank you for, getting us involved with this. So we did the first show. It was there, and they liked it. They liked it. And because of what we wanted to do afterwards, I think everybody liked it. They thought it was a good show and everything. I started talking to the telcos. And that time, I got Mobile Awards was big at that time. So I got some invites to Mobile Awards, and I took some brand guys to watch. I could afford some change, so I bought business class tickets and all that to Mobile Awards, so that they would just see, so that they will understand where we're coming from. Not just stay in Nigeria and say, it's not possible. Why is it possible? Why are you asking for this kind of money? I remember when we got the funds for the first awards, and when we put the budget together, and my guys were trying to put profit there and everything, that look, we can't work for 6 months and not make anything. I said, you know what? Someone is going to lose his job if you don't do this well. And my brother, my immediate younger brother, he reported me to my mom that Ayo got this amount of money, and he won't even buy a piece of land. And my mom called me. I said, Mommy, do you want them to chase me out of Lagos? The money is not for me, it's for a project. And if you do this well, more will come. I said, but I was living in a 3-bedroom rented apartment, Oba at that time. And all I wanted to do, or what we wanted to do was do the awards. I would have betrayed my guys who put in everything if I saved a dime. So we wanted to do it well. And at the end of the day, we spent more than we got. For like a month, I couldn't come to the office because Votron was looking for me. You know Votron, right? Wow. Votron was looking for me. I was owing Votron, I was owing everybody. Votron, the bodyguard. There's a guy called Votron. There's a guy. It was just him. Yeah, it was just him at that time. Votron, anybody else can look for me. We can shout at each other, but Votron, hell no. So Votron was looking for me. I couldn't go to the office at that time because I was owing everybody. I could have saved money, but we were owing people at that time because we wanted. It would not be that revolution if we had saved that money. And 3 years later, or 3 years later, yes, I was able to buy a house instead of buying a piece of land. But then I wasn't even thinking of buying a house. I just got money from what I was doing at that time. And I said, okay, you know what? Maybe I should do this now. But then, for my family. But then everything has always been about the journey. And there's the continuation of the journey. What you're saying is what you know now. There's also another phase of the journey that we're already working on now that hopefully should be. There's this, I tell my people, Divine knows. Divine is the manager of promotions. I tell them that you have to have a moving trade state of mind. Nothing stops us. Come here, we'll clear you. This is where we're going, and nothing comes, in between. It's just you have to just focus on the journey, believe in it, and you will see it happen. Okay, there was a time 2009, yes, January, 2008. I'm a big fan of Barack Obama. So when, I followed out through the election and everything, even though I'm Nigerian, when it was when we were voting the first time, he was elected president, I traveled to the States then. I was at the polling booth. I couldn't vote, but I was there. I just went, I was in Atlanta and everything. And I left and I went to another state, maybe somewhere else, and when he became president and they were having the inauguration, I went back. I wanted to attend, and I attended. Some Congress guy just brought invitations to us, and we attended. We didn't know how it was going to happen. I think I share some. There's a reason why he put us beside each other. Some grace. Some grace. I won't say I've not been. I know I've worked really hard. I don't want people to believe in luck. Just sit down there and think it's going to happen. But when you prepare yourselves, when the opportunity comes, you'll be ready. There is a project that we're working on now, and it's taken us over a year. And everybody that did the project before us got a consultant, mostly from abroad, from other countries, to put their papers together. We put our papers together. We were the first to put our papers together for whatever, and it was done. Because it will go through here and some other agencies abroad and everything, and it passed. Yes, there were a few back and forth and all that, but yes, it passed. I don't know where it comes from. Honestly, I can't explain that. This is how I do it, and this is what it is, and everything.
Grace is the doggedness. It's I must get here.
I think once you set the
That's
standard,
what she describes as stubborn.
Yes. Once you set it,
I don't think the word is stubborn. It's just you're a go-getter. You know what you want. You get it. You're fearless.
Yes.
Some people don't understand that, and like for creators, we know. Like when people ask me about world record.
Yeah.
When I tell them, I say I already did it.
Exactly, in your head.
I already did it in my head. So my thing was just to do it for you guys to see. But I had already done it. I was waiting to get to the part after it.
Excellent.
You know what I'm saying? So when you're asking me how I got by, to me it was already done.
Yeah.
That's what we can't explain.
Yes.
But it's the drive. You know what I'm saying? We've envisioned it. We've gone 10 steps ahead. We've calculated it. Boom. Okay, right here, right? But what people are seeing is right here.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
There's something I say when people ask me this question, and what I tell them is, I'm not that guy that will announce pregnancies. I'll announce birth. I'll announce birth. I'm working. I think most of us, like, what we need to be scared of or be watchful of or be is that, look, when we're not here, we'll continue. A lot of companies in Nigeria that I know, and I can't remember, except you remind me, they don't, once that guy goes, and I can't say for sure that it won't happen to me, but I can just attempt to work towards it. It's gone. It's gone. Once that guy goes, it's gone. And but in other countries, it's different. You can tell the story of Mercedes-Benz to Coca-Cola to Johnny Walker. Some of these brands have been over 200 years. They've moved from one generation to another and one generation to another. Someone says, you better do it now. You don't know. No condition is permanent. How come CNN has been there and they're still there and they're getting bigger?
Coined that phrase.
I don't understand.
No, technically, no condition is
No. That you can't just continue to go. I don't understand.
But it's true, no condition is permanent. There can be growth,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
But there is
So that you can't be here
even
all
with
the
saying that
time.
they were talking about,
No.
even with saying that when they're talking about,
But you
they're
can't
not
be here
still
for
at
a
the
long
basic
time, but you know
level.
that people are calling.
They've
Let them take
grown.
whatever you want to take
So
now
there's growth,
and go.
there's innovation, there's
there's a simple
Coca-Cola has been there now.
No,
Permanent condition.
What keeps it growing is growth.
Yeah.
Anything that stops growing starts dying.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
minute you stop growing, you start dying.
dead.
And even with nature, with human beings, once you stop
Innovate or die.
growing, then you won't be able to run. So
A
if
decline
you
has to
pass
happen.
30 or something, your process of death is longer than the process of growth. So you won't be able to run the same miles again. Later, when you are 50, you won't be able to do the same rounds again.
No, it's true. It's true.
Some. No, not in some.
But the process is not the same for everybody.
There's no difference.
The process is not the same for everybody. We're all built differently.
But again, that's why you're always going to have a very small percentage of people very successful and a large number of people.
Not everybody's a leader, and that's what I think. Not everybody has that drive
And we have to
lead.
continue to learn the process of leadership and continue to, read and learn. I think a lot of us do not read. I mean, everything has, I would say, manual in a way. There's this guy in my office now that's so brilliant and so brilliant, and it was because of his brilliance and everything and his ideas. He was meant to be a group head, but nobody wanted him to lead them. Nobody wanted him to lead them because this guy does not have communication skill. He doesn't have people management skill, And so I gave him a book to read, and after a few days, he came back to me and said, "I've been making this mistake all my life. Thank you." Wow. Thank you. I've been making mistake. Oh, I goofed. I can't believe I said this. I can't believe I said this. Now, knowing is different. Doing is another thing. It's not everything that we have the discipline that we know is wrong, that we have the discipline to do. So then do you actually really do? Execute. That's different. So I tell people it's just not what you know, it's what you apply. It's just what you apply. I like to read. If you check, now I don't even have as much time anymore, but I read. And when I can't read, I have, trust me, here. If I open my phone, there's an audio book there that I'm listening to. And I'm bringing my kids up like that too. They read. So I think it's about us also knowing our craft, learning our craft, and just being consistent. That's my own philosophy about it.
I believe so. Consistency is key as well.
It's very, very key.
It was one of the things that I love was a lot of people, especially in Nigeria, they get discouraged when, like how we're talking about a hit record now. They don't understand that the fact that you're working, that consistency is key. Like you put out one record, it didn't work, go back, brush off your shoulder, get to work, do it more. If you did one track before, do two. If one doesn't hit, maybe another one. If the two of them, just keep at it. Because, people don't also understand timing. There's a season. It's not your time. Like I was explaining with Keke and D1. Growing up, I knew that at what age, I'm not going to compare myself to Keke and D1 to say that I'm a young guy, let me be on their level. But I knew that at one point in time, they will grow and decide that, you know what, we need to pass the torch. Do you understand what I'm saying? They don't understand, people don't understand that you're going to, the same way with Jimmy Jai. I knew that at one point, if I'm a DJ, at some point, Jimmy Jai is going to be like, you know what, let me push somebody else. When it's your time to shine, it's your time to shine, but then it's not going to, so you have to create a legacy.
Now just want to start today
and finish
shine today.
Right now.
And shine.
That's why we're here. Yeah. We need to let them know that this life is not today. It's a journey. It takes a lot of process.
Yes.
And you must pass through the procedures. If you don't pass through, you can never gain anything. And you cannot claim, I'm arrived today, I'm blown today, I'm the king today. No.
Throw the word legend around a lot. It really upsets you sometimes. People say I'm legendary. Like, do you know what it means to be legendary?
What I think is that we live in a different time, space and time, where social media is dictating what happens. You see, everybody wants things instantaneously now. And it's not just with music, it's with everything. That's with the advent of technology, that's how it is. So people want information they can get in now. People want drugs they can get in now. People want food they get in now. People want women they get in now. People want satisfaction. People want to satisfy a particular emotional or psychological or physical need. They can get it now, you understand? And this is all through technology. Now, the problem with entertainment, one of the problems I'm seeing in the entertainment industry is that everybody that comes out now is all about, okay, I want to come out with a hit. It's all about a hit. It's all about that lifestyle. And they start living their lifestyle from the tail end. When I say from the tail end, they start living their lifestyle from here. That's the way it's supposed to be. And they don't know how to have a hit, but they believe they need to maintain a particular sense, a particular way you look at them. It's like, for example, now it's like, you know, I was with one artist a while ago, and he was talking about how he wants to have a child, and he doesn't have any plan on getting married. And I didn't personally understand why you'd want to bring in a child to this world without having any actual plan on how, and he just felt like he just wanted to do it. That's just the way he felt, you understand? And in society now, those kind of things are like, it's okay, you understand? But these are kids making decisions, you understand?
Making grown decisions.
Making grown decisions.
The mistake, that most young people make is that, and I think we need to correct that. We're different here. That we have to have these family values. You know, you have to, when you're bringing a child to this world, you know, it's just not, okay, you impregnate the lady, then you provide the money. You have your role as a father, beyond just providing the money and showing your face once in a while. The mom has the role, you have your role. If you give 100% and she gives 100%, that's 200% for the guy. But, and if you miss, there's a reason why I didn't keep my family abroad. I think I have a role to play. If I missed between the ages of like 5 to 10, I would never get those years back. And there's a seed, or there are seeds I need to sow during the period that would transform them. Once that is lost, it's lost. Guys, I see you talk about your dad, you talk about your dad. You know, they must be special. I talk about my dad too.
Me, I couldn't
talks about his mom.
talk about my dad. If I start to talk about that, some may even wonder.
So parental influence is very strong.
I'm sorry for interrupting.
Thank you, sir.
What to say. You touched me when you said talk about that, talk about that. I lost my daddy 30 years ago.
Whoa.
And I was not there when he died.
Same with me.
I was not in the country. He died, and they didn't know how to tell me. You were trying.
Same with me.
You were trying to know what happened with your dad. My dad was dead. They didn't know. By the time they were able to tell me, it was not the days of cell phone that you can just. They have to send me a telegram.
Yeah.
You know what they wrote there? Daddy's sick. Pray for him. I knew he was gone. And again, after 3 days, they now called me. I was at work late at night. They say, Daddy is, did you receive the telegram? I say, yes. I say, how is he feeling now? They say, he's gone. I was crying. But another story another day. I lost my mom like 4 years ago. Another story too, another story. So when you talk about your mom or your dad or your dad or your dad, I was so quiet because everybody has a story. And the story was so important. Sorry for interjection.
So, with me, I think I got a lot of love from my dad. Not just love, and he taught me a lot of things, and they stayed with me. Now, before I had kids, before I got married, I would pick my nieces, you know, and nephews and take them out. I just like being around children. I think they're just amazing. And we are already here, and we need to shape them. We need to shape them. And it's a long process that we can't afford to miss. Otherwise, I don't want to be that guy that will be, look back and have everything and look at my kids and I have regrets. So my time with them is special to me, and we have the connection. What happens is, most of the time, right, when my son was going to be born, I told the doctor that I had to be in the labor room. It was a condition for me to use the hospital, and they agreed. And my daughters too. I have 2 daughters. And I was there. I saw the pain. I saw everything. Came literally like that. And I think we connect. So for me, we need to show and teach them a lot. And I don't think, what I wonder is, you know, some people have 2 kids. Some people in Africa or Nigeria that I know, they want to have 9 kids so that at least one will turn out well. You know, it's just so sad. But they'll have 2 kids and both will turn out well. And I think they're just like this, just as empty as this. It's whatever you pour there, whatever you put in there, that they become. And that's why we have responsibility. So my kids, My son is reading, like, by the way, he doesn't read children's book anymore. Now he's 15. He reads like serious. He's 15. He reads like serious
I remember when
books.
he was like 6 or 7.
Yeah, it is. So you can't. You better know what you're saying to before you step up to him, because he reads, he knows, he has books, he reads, and before he got to that level, he was reading books of his age group and everything. So I made sure that they enjoyed reading. Then you now begin to build on it and some other things. And they do a lot. They play keyboard. They have like 7 different lesson teachers. Keyboard, they play guitar, they swim. And I say this, if 3 children, run into, like, say, suddenly find themselves in a river, which one will come out? They say the one that knows how to swim. So you have to know how to swim. I take them there myself, I bring them out. When I'm in the office and they come, my attention shifts a bit. It's just what I love doing. I just can't explain. It's just part of me. What I've been able to do with them is I've been able to show them a bit of. I took them on public transport. What's called bus, molo, this downfall. I tried to show them, but it's not like you going in there. They went with their dad, and I'll tell you this, I'm guilty of this. Maybe I should say actually. When we went on downfall ride, because I wasn't sure they're my kids, and we had a police guy who didn't come close to us, who just stayed there because of all these volatile areas and kids and all that. That man was like, yes. Well, like, boy, I took them on the trip and keke napep and everything. I just want them to see all these things and be able to make their own, decisions out of life and just get the best out of it. And
would you ever want them to have that kind of life that you had growing up?
it would have been my pleasure. Yes. If they go through some of the things I went through, they'll be stronger. They'll be stronger. It would have been so great. It would have been so massive for me. Unfortunately, they won't.
They will in their own way.
They
not necessarily.
Yeah, no. They go on somebody.
Yes,
my business though.
No, the question, do you really honestly think it's unfortunate that they're not going through? Because you've been through a lot.
Yeah, a part of it. Not this. I mean, they go to better schools, whatever and all that. But the hard part of life. See, an Ajibota guy. I'm sorry, an Ajibota like whatever. See, the street guys, they are very, very strict. I see children take their 6-year-old girl, takes his a 4-year-old brother across the road. My kids cannot do that. My kids can't do that. And if you want to knock an Ajibole boy, when you are passing behind him, he doesn't know whether you want to say hello or you want to give him a knock. So you say, hello, uncle, he talks like this until you pass. But my kids, hello, uncle, they are still they know that you never give them a knock from the back. And you just don't ever, you need that straight wisdom for them. So you're just going to try hard to put it there. You're just going to try hard to put it there because the truth is that they don't live in Ajegule. They don't, I'm in Nigeria, but they don't experience blackout because once the light goes up, there's inverter, for a while, then you put on the gen.
Wasn't that part of the struggles that you went through?
That
so
shaped
they
me.
can have that, and then they have that, so then their kids can even have.
But guess what? There are kids from what's called Donald Trump that are doing well. Donald Trump himself, came from a privileged home. So you can get here and rise from there. You can get here. You don't have to go from the rock bottom.
That's the point I was trying to make. They would cut their teeth. They would make their bones their own way.
Yes.
Take Nature's story for example, right?
Yeah.
There are parallels. There are connection points. While mine probably was me dealing with peer pressure and this and that here, he's dealing with similar type of scenarios, just at a different rung of society. And like I mentioned, probably my happiest days were my first 11 years alive. Today it looks like penury, but I was happy. Yeah. I had a lot of fun. There was laughter, there was love, I probably could, now the things I couldn't afford then, I probably can afford them now, or my kids can afford them. But
I have to say this here. Sorry. I have to say this here. I didn't come from a poor background. I chose to step out. Everything I saw outside that was good, I saw in my house first. I didn't see anywhere else. When there was the Mercedes-Benz 200, my dad bought brand new ones. He had, he had a construction company. He built, my dad was a big man. We had a street named Animashan Street. He still has Animashan Estate. Have you been to our estate? We still have Animashan Estate. You understand? I chose to step out. You know why?
Not as a butter.
No. You know what? No. He died when I was 18. And by 16, I had already stepped out. I chose after
How
secondary
come
school.
you didn't go to him when you were having issues in printing your paper?
He was dead at that time.
Oh.
He was dead at that time. Now, why I chose to step out, number one, I'm from a polygamous home. Number two, he told me about his own story, about his dad. That when the dad died, he was one of the last kids from a polygamous home too. And when they were sharing properties and everything, what happened? And I shouldn't just believe in that. I should, like, he did like this. You are the architect of your own future, your own life.
Yes.
So he spoke with me. So I believed that. So I took that out. And when they were sharing properties, my brothers, because I was the stubborn guy who would fight anybody over what I believed in. And I told them I wasn't coming. They said, if you don't want, collect and give us now. If you don't want, I said, you know what? You can collect and keep. Until date, they still collect rent, we have houses and everything. And I've not collected one dime. Rather, I sent, and then it wasn't because I was okay or I had a place to sleep. I was comfortable because I just said, you know what? Keep it. I'll go out there and succeed.
I say this with all sense of responsibility. Women deal with a lot of suppression from men. Women deal with worse suppression from women.
Yeah.
From women, from fellow, women folk. Now, it's the practical Nigerian scenario. You'll find out that 9 out of 10 times, if your girlfriend or your wife is going to have a rough time dealing with your family, it's likely going to come from your sisters or your mom than your dad. There are very few occasions where your brother would come in and give your girlfriend a hard time. Yeah. It's the women who would say, why is she dressed like that? Why is she not back at 4? Why did she not cook for you?